My fingers trembled the first time I felt it, like static humming beneath my skin, alive, waiting. It wasn't pain. It wasn't fear. It was power. And it scared me more than either. I had always heard the body carries energy, but this was different. This wasn't theory. This wasn't a meditation video telling me to feel the flow. No, this was real, palpable. My hands, these ordinary human hands, had somehow become conduits for something I couldn't explain. When I held them out, palms facing forward, I could sense the air bending, trembling, responding. At first I thought I was imagining things. Stress, maybe. Lack of sleep. But then I noticed small, undeniable shifts around me. Lights flickering when I moved too fast. Metal objects subtly drawn to my touch. Even animals acting strangely when I walked by. And the more I focused, the stronger it became. I began to see the field, like a ripple in water, invisible to others, but vivid in my mind, dancing around my fingertips like northern lights only I could witness. I became obsessed. I studied everything I could find. Biomagnetism, qi, the electromagnetic pulses of the heart and brain. Turns out our bodies do emit energy fields. Small, yes, but measurable. The heart produces the strongest one, radiating several feet from the body. But the hands? They're unique. They're lined with meridians, nerve clusters, and acupressure points that seem designed to interact with the world beyond touch. What if the ancients were right? What if the hands are keys, ancient tools to manipulate the unseen layers of reality? But the more I used this ability, the more I realized it came with a cost. Holding my palms too long toward someone changed their mood. I tested it. I held my hand out behind a friend in silence, no words, no contact, and watched as their shoulders tensed. Their breathing changed, as if my energy, my intent, was pushing into them without a word. It's not just about movement or flow, it's about intention. Whatever emotion I fed into my hands, calm, anger, fear, it radiated. It shaped the field around me, and people felt it. Some avoided me. Others were drawn in like moths to a flame, unable to explain why. I started to feel responsible, because this power isn't loud. It's not a lightning bolt. It's subtle, and that makes it dangerous. It seeps. It influences. It changes things. And once you become aware of it, you can't unsee it. You notice how people hold their hands when they speak, how some gestures soothe, and others cut like knives. You begin to realize how much of reality we sculpt without touching a thing. Now, I wear gloves when I go out. Not because the power is too strong, but because the temptation is. The temptation to influence, to bend moments to my will, to push outcomes instead of letting them flow. I never asked for this, but I can't deny it anymore. My hands are not just hands. They are instruments, antennas, weapons, healing tools, and every gesture I make is a ripple that echoes in the invisible fabric of the world around me. So I move slowly now, carefully, because when you realize your hands are not just flesh and bone, but conduits for something ancient and unseen, you learn to use them with caution. There was a night I'll never forget. Cold, rain ticking against the window. I couldn't sleep, so I sat up in bed, palms resting on my knees, breathing in silence. That's when I decided to push the boundary, to test what I was truly capable of. I closed my eyes and focused, not on movement, but emotion. Pure, concentrated emotion. Gratitude, first. I imagined the people I loved. I poured that warmth into my palms. Slowly, the room changed. The air felt thicker, softer somehow, like a blanket settling over everything. The flickering thoughts in my mind quieted, and I swear, the rain slowed. Or maybe time did. It was peace, tangible, sacred peace, and it came from me. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. The next night I did the opposite. I let anger flood in, memories, disappointments, betrayals. I clenched my fists until they buzzed with that strange voltage, and I opened them toward the mirror. I didn't move. I just felt. And the mirror cracked. just a fine fracture down the center, like the surface couldn't hold the tension I was releasing. That's when I knew this wasn't a gift. Not entirely, it was a responsibility. Because it's not just about control over the world, it's control over yourself, over what you emit, over the energy you choose to let escape through your fingers. I began to notice how people react to each other's gestures, how someone placing a hand on your shoulder can heal decades of loneliness or ignite anxiety you didn't know was hiding. I saw how intention lived inside the hands, how every handshake, every reach, every parting wave carried unspoken energy that left an imprint, whether we noticed or not. The truth is, we're all doing it. Every day. Sending out fields with every flick of the wrist, every cradle of a child's head, every time we reach out in pain or love or fear. Most people just aren't aware. But once you are, you realize we're constantly shaping the emotional weather of the world. I've become more careful, more reverent. When I speak to someone now, I pay attention not just to what I say, but to what my hands are saying in silence. I no longer touch people without permission, not because I'm afraid of them, but because I've felt the weight of my own energy, and I respect its reach. Sometimes I wonder, how different would the world be if we all understood the power in our palms? If we treated our hands not just as tools, but as transmitters, sending out quiet vibrations that either heal or harm? So I leave you with this. The next time you reach out, ask yourself what you're giving, what you're truly offering, because the field is real, it's alive, and whether you believe in it or not, it's listening, and it remembers. There was a moment, just days ago, that shook me more than any experiment ever could. I was sitting across from someone I hadn't seen in years, a person who once broke me in ways I never fully admitted. The conversation was civil, polite, but beneath the words, the air felt electric. My palms tingled the moment they sat down, like my body already knew what my mind was trying to deny. They reached out halfway through, just a casual touch on my arm, and I froze, not out of fear, but because I felt it, the energy, jagged, restless, regretful, maybe, or unfinished. It clashed against mine like two weather systems colliding. It was overwhelming. It wasn't about words anymore. It was about fields, memories, unresolved echoes still pulsing between us. And I realized I wasn't just sensing them. They were sensing me. Their hand pulled back, subtly. Their eyes shifted. They couldn't explain it, but something passed between us in that moment. Something ancient, raw, beyond language. I walked away from that meeting changed, not because of what was said, but because of what was felt, what was exchanged in silence. That's the hidden truth no one talks about. Every interaction is an energy transaction. Every room we enter, every person we touch, even if only with our presence, we leave a fingerprint behind, a resonance, and if we're careless, we carry theirs with us too. This isn't magic, it's biology, physics. The human heart generates measurable electromagnetic waves. The nervous system is a network of electric signals. Our bodies are designed to interact with the world, not just physically, but energetically. But here's the thing that no one warns you about. Once you begin to sense this, really sense it, you can't go back to being normal. You can't sit in a crowd without feeling the weight of unspoken thoughts. You can't shake a hand without wondering what you just absorbed. You can't touch someone without wondering what you're giving away. And yet, there's beauty in that too, because it means every moment is a choice, a chance to send peace instead of pain, stillness instead of chaos, healing instead of harm. So now, when I wake up, before I even speak, I hold out my hands, just for a moment. I feel the hum beneath my skin. I breathe into them. I ask myself, what am I putting into the world today? Because I know now, my hands are not just mine. They are instruments of energy, and with every gesture I am shaping something far beyond what the eye can see. Use them with caution, but more importantly, use them with love. There are days I still forget. Days when I move too fast, react too sharply, let frustration speak through my fingertips before my mind catches up. I slam a door. I wave someone off. I scroll past a message without answering, and each time, something subtle shifts, not just in the world, but in me. Like my own energy turns against me, folding in like a wave that never finished crashing. It's not just about the hands, it's about the intention they carry. That's the lesson I keep learning. One evening, I visited an old friend in the hospital. Machines beeped softly. The air was heavy with silence, the kind that wraps around grief like a blanket. I didn't know what to say. I didn't have the right words. But as I sat beside them, I reached out and held their hand. And I didn't think. I just breathed. I let every ounce of calm, love, and presence flow through my palms. No pushing, no trying to heal. Just being. And I watched their heart rate steady. I saw their shoulders relax. And I realized maybe that was enough. Because it's not about fixing people. It's not about bending the world to our will. It's about being a source of steadiness in a world that moves too fast, cuts too deep, forgets to feel. There's a kind of quiet power in that, a power that doesn't scream or shine. It radiates, softly, constantly, and it changes people in ways they may never fully understand. So now I live differently. I watch how I gesture when I speak. I pay attention to who I let touch me. I take time before I write a message or place a hand on someone's shoulder because I know what I carry. We all do, whether we admit it or not, and maybe that's what this whole experience was trying to show me, that we don't need to wait for science to catch up, or language to explain, or permission to believe. We just need to feel, to tune in, to take responsibility for the invisible things we pass between us every single day. My hands, they become more than limbs. They're barometers. They're instruments. They're messengers of everything I am when I'm too quiet to speak. So I ask you now, what are your hands saying? Because someone out there is feeling them, even if they never say a word. If you've made it this far, you already feel it. That quiet knowing deep in your bones. Maybe you've sensed it before and didn't have a name for it. Maybe you've brushed it off as coincidence, but now you know better. This energy we carry, it's real. It matters, and it's shaping our lives in ways we can't always see. So I want you to do one thing. Tonight, before you go to sleep, sit still. No distractions. Hold out your hands. Feel them. Ask yourself, what have I been sending into the world? And more importantly, what do I want to send from this point on? If this resonated with you, share it with someone you care about. Let this awareness ripple outward. And if you've ever felt something stir in your palms, an intuition, a pulse, a warmth, tell your story in the comments. Let others know they're not alone. Because this is the beginning of a deeper way of living. And once your hands awaken, there's no going back. Use them wisely. Use them kindly. And never underestimate the silent power you hold.